Hello, it's Sue Viskovich here from Elixir. My goodness, it's the end of the week, and I have spoken to so many advisors this week who are on right across the spectrum in terms of their positivity and their mindset at the moment. I've got some advisors that are really excited about the future and they're leaning into the changes, and I mean, they're all a little bit nervous about the election. And then I've got others, though, that I've spoken to who are in a really bad way and are really challenged by what's going on in the industry. And in fact, I think some that are probably balanced between one end of the spectrum to the other within the same day. But one conversation that really stuck out for me this week, and it's actually one that I've had quite a lot of. So this particular advisor is someone that I know, runs a great business. I know that they're all over FDS and opt-in. In fact, I think they're using opt-in for all of their clients, not just the post-2013 ones. But his challenge was around this concept of 12-month service agreements. So, as you know, it's a recommendation that came out of the Royal Commission. We will see if it gets put into legislation. There's a lot of people suggesting that it will. And this is the view that if you're going to deliver ongoing services to clients and have them pay you an ongoing fee, the maximum you can do that for is 12 months. So rather than having a client on an ongoing agreement and then they have to opt in every 2 years to that the maximum agreement you can have, or direct debit you can have, is a 12-month period. Now, I am hearing from quite a few advisors that are worried about this, and this particular conversation I've had a few times already. So this advisor was saying they don't have a problem with it over a 2-year period, but what happens with those clients who like to travel overseas? He had quite a few clients that do so, and it might mean that they're away at the time that their review is due, and they're not going to be back until month 13 or 14. So what happens on a 12-month agreement? I have to stop being their advisor for a couple of months before they get back. And it's a really interesting concept, because that would be the same if it's on a 2-year opt-in as well. So if it happens to be month 25 instead of month 24, then technically you can't deliver services to them in that period. So I want to repeat here the conversation that I had with him, and that is, I've already got a lot of advisors that are effectively already having 12-month agreements with their clients. It's actually not as difficult as it sounds. It's about saying, being very clear with the client. It might slightly change your conversation up front when you're discussing the agreement that you're putting them into, but it means that you are signing onto an agreement to be their advisor for the 12-month period. At the end of that, or before the end of that 12-month period, you'll make a decision to see if you have enjoyed that process. If I'm adding value to you and I'm continuing to support you, then we'll sign another 12-month agreement. It means that if clients make a decision, if you haven't delivered upon the promises that you made during that 12-month period, then they're not going to sign on for another 12 months. That makes sense. So what happens with the logistics? What happens if you do have that client that is going to be away at the time that they should be coming for their review? Well, it's just a logistical question. Look into the services and the systems that you use. Do you have digital technology? Are you using DocuSign, or have you got an online proposal system where you can, even if they are away or they are going away and they don't have time to come in and have your full review before they go, you can send them a link, they can sign a new agreement, you can continue to be paid your fee, and then you can complete the services when they get back. I think a lot of people get caught up with this thing of annual review, and I know that ASIC has probably caused a few of these issues, because in some of the commentary it looks like they're making a connection between an ongoing service fee with a client and an annual review, and they're connecting those two things and saying if you don't do that review, you haven't delivered on all the promises in your agreement. That doesn't necessarily have to be a belly-to-belly meeting. The review that you have for a client is about ensuring that their situation remains relevant for the plan that you have in place, that you update their goals and objectives, that you talk about the current situation that they're in, and that you make any tweaks or changes to their plan that they need be, and that you are there for them to throw around the ideas that they need to. Nowhere does it state that that has to be belly to belly. So you could conduct that by telephone. You could prepare documents, send over the reports to clients, have a conversation via a Zoom meeting. You could do it face to face, if not belly to belly. There's a whole host of ways that you can achieve the same outcome without necessarily physically sitting in a room. And trust me, I have seen the way that some advisors do annual reviews, and even if they are sitting in a room, they add a lot less value than some other reviews that I've seen where advisors conduct them really well. My view of this is to say, stop for a second. Yes, we need to organise the logistics around how you're going to do this, But you want to stop for a second and actually think about, where is your anxiety coming from around entering a 12-month agreement with a client? Logistics are one thing, but is it actually coming from a place because you're actually not sure whether your clients will continue to sign on to a 12-month agreement if it's physically having to be that conscious thought and action? I think of another client that we worked with. It was only about 4 or 5 months ago, and this piece of work actually came into the process of also helping them understand what kind of client do they want to work with moving forward. So they had a big legacy trail book, and they wanted to make sure that their business was really effective and productive in future. So one of the steps in that process was to define who did they want to work with. So we took them through this process to define that, and we created a couple of different client avatars for their business. And we then looked at these clients and said, okay, what are, again, a process, what are the problems that these clients have? What are their pain points? What are they coming to you for? What might they pay you a fee for? How are you going to improve the outcomes of their life, the quality of their life, through financial decision making and advice, but also maybe some other areas that make sense that you could build into your service proposition. And when we got really clear on that, then we rebuilt their ongoing service proposition. So when you're really clear on who you're working with, and you're really clear on the challenges that they have and what they find difficulty with in their life, you can create a fabulous proposition that delivers on all of those things. Yes, an annual review is part of that process, but there's also a whole bunch of other things that you can be doing within that 12-month period to add value to them, to become a really meaningful part of their life, and to be someone that helps them improve the outcomes for themselves and their family. What this is really about is, if it's not just a logistical question, if the question is, how am I going to sign an ongoing 12-month agreement every year with clients if I don't add value to them? It's just part of your strategic business planning to be able to sit back, look at who you're working with, and determine other ways that you can utilize to add value to them and become really impactful in their life. Using face-to-face stuff, the traditional client annual review meeting, newsletters that go out to client. Nowadays, those new newsletters can be anything from social media posts to webinars to videos that you send out. They could be customized videos that you could use across your whole client base, or you could use Loom to do individual videos on particular topics of interest and educational things for these clients. You can have closed Facebook groups that they participate in and they have two-way discussion, a whole host of different things. But when you're really clear on how you deliver value to these people, and then you look at it from a business process perspective and say, how do I scale this and not have to physically be there with every client to deliver on everything, so that you still have the capacity in your business to have the number of clients that you want, then it becomes pretty much a no-brainer that these clients are absolutely going to continue to sign on to your service agreement every 12 months. And if it does mean that for whatever reason they can't come in within that 365 days to sign your next 12-month agreement, you don't necessarily have to stop being their advisor, and they're without their advisor for a couple of months before they sign on again. You just plan ahead. So the days of having a client paying you a fee and you do one annual review and you have no contact with them throughout the year, they're behind us. The old value proposition that used to work of I do risk and super, that's behind you. It's about creating a deeper value proposition for people, creating a delivery methodology that is scalable and achievable in your business. And the best part about all of this is it means that the client relationships that you do have are meaningful. You can physically see, hear, and receive feedback from them that you are changing their life for the better. And that is just so incredibly rewarding. So, hey, please don't lose any sleep about whether or not we're going to have 12-month agreements for ongoing services for clients. It is just one thing that fits in with a whole bunch of other challenges that you might be facing in your business. So the impact of this might be greater or less depending on your business at the time. But it's but one example of something that's going to impact your business that increases the need for you for the next financial year, which is very soon upon us, to look at how you're doing everything in your business at the moment, and to make sure that you determine your strategic plan for next year. What are the things that you're going to work on and fix and improve in your business so that you've got a fantastic, healthy future? We've got our Business Evolution Blitz running at the moment where we're taking registrations now for our workshops that are happening in July. If you think you might need a little bit of help with mapping out your strategies for the year, we'd love to be part of that with you. So you can click on the link here in the post and check it out. And in the meantime, I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I hope that has given you a little bit of food for thought to help you. Ciao.